Hey, 555ers, Andrew here. It's a beautiful spring afternoon here in Minnesota, and I am here to talk about knives. The $50 knife game is changing, and in this video I'm going to show you 4 different examples of knives that to me have changed my perspective about what I can expect from my affordable knives. It's great news. It's really exciting. There are brands and models coming to market that are just better knives, and it's going to benefit us as consumers, and you should know about it. And I have a number of knives here that I'm going to talk about in my new fancy Blade HQ knife carrier, a really nice little carrier. I've been collecting knives for over 10 years, and for a long time, if you wanted a knife with a higher than entry-level steel with a proven design, you would look at the big brands for a knife like this. This is the Mini Griptilian, and this one happens to be running D2 steel. It's a Cabela's exclusive, and this is an example of what for a long time everyone would have been fine spending $100 on. Everyone would have been okay with that. Proven design, good ergonomics, very EDC friendly, and this version is the D2 version from Cabela's. I just happen to have this version. It was a birthday present recently that I got from my dad. Thanks, Dad, if you're watching. Excellent knife, excellent lock, proven materials, very nice size. But now I think that this knife is truly overpriced. And in this video, I'm going to get into a few other knives that are basically running the same or better materials for seriously less than $50. So we're going to get into that right now. So the first knife that I want to show you is the CRKT Pilar. This knife is also running D2 steel, has an OD green scale. This is a G10 scale, so it's actually a better material than the fiberglass reinforced nylon handle on the Griptilian, and it is a steel frame lock. It's also a very proven design. It's a little bit smaller than the Griptilian, but it also has excellent ergonomics with what I call the double choil here, the half choil on the blade, so that you can get an excellent grip on this knife. I am going to do a full review on this knife. This version of the Pilar is a Blade HQ exclusive, which has that, again, D2 steel matching the Griptilian. And this knife was $40. $40 when it was available. There's a version now that's currently available with a carbon fiber scale for only $50. And in terms of the quality of the knife, just objectively looking at not only the material choices but on the overall execution, it's very similar. Now there are some differences. Of course, the Benchmade, as you know, is made in America. The Pilar, on the other hand, is made in China. And so that's probably the biggest difference where the cost will be justified to spend extra for the Benchmade. But the truth is that the gap is narrowing in terms of the quality that you're getting in the execution of these two knives. So for example, this knife has a very nice action out of box. It has solid centering. It has a great pocket clip. And the opening thumb hole is very reliable and has equally good ergonomics to the Griptilian. The only thing that I would fault it for is its weight. This is a heavy knife coming in at 2.89 ounces compared to the Griptilian, which is coming in at a 2.56 ounces. So there's about half an ounce of difference in the weight between these two knives, which are in some ways very similar. Cutting length, you have more on the Griptilian. It's a 2.91 inch blade versus a 2.4 inch blade on the Pilar. But I mean, this is half the price, so that's really shocking, frankly, to me. This knife could have easily been sold let's say 10 years ago for $100, even with it being made in China, and I think people would pay it because this is a very unique design. It's made by a well-known designer, Jesper Voxnes, who I've featured some of his knives more recently on my channel. And the build quality is there. The only thing that I really fault the quality of this knife on is that it uses plastic washers rather than phosphor bronze washers, and so there's something a little bit mushy about the feel of this knife. And there are some, little fit and finish things that could be improved, like the jimping here in the lock could be, more smoothed out. It could have been gone through a little bit more. There's, if you can see here, it's very small, but in the relief for the pocket clip, there's a little curly. I'll roll in some footage there. Some of the machine finishing could be improved, but overall, this is a very serious cutting tool and competitive in terms of materials and quality of design to the Griptilian here. And that is truly amazing that it's coming at half the price. And this is a CRKT. This is not a no-name brand knife. But when we look at the no-name brand knives, we have an even bigger surprise. This is another similarly spec'd knife. This is a Civivi Wyvern, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is a new brand, a sub-brand of WE knives, and this is their new budget line. You're looking at a knife that's a little bit larger, a total length of 7.9 inches, cutting length of 3.45 inches. So comparatively speaking, it's definitely a larger knife than the Mini Grip or the Pilar. For the same price as these two knives, you're getting a beautifully finished, very excellent cutting performance D2 blade. And you're getting it in a similar fiberglass reinforced nylon handle to the Benchmade. And you're getting amazing flipping action from this knife. This is running on bearings. So the opening system on this is really heads above either of the two knives that I've showed you. And it really is a true pleasure to open and to deploy. And it doesn't fall shut because of the lightweight of the blade, and I think it's probably just some of the technical side of the detent and stuff. It doesn't close perfectly shutty the way that a heavier blade might, but it has really outstanding action. This has action that easily compares to knives that I've played with. They're $200. So the engineering on the action on this is stellar. Another thing that you get that I think is just fantastic is we're getting into the era of really nice sculpted pocket clips that are also very practical. So this is a very thin pocket clip, and yet it is so much more attractive. I mean, so much more attractive than the clip that you get on the Benchmade. It's going to carry just as well. And it's going to be more durable because it's actually made out of something that isn't just stamped metal, so it'll be less prone to bend. And this is again half the price of the Benchmade. So this is where I'm saying that we're entering a new era for knives. Guys, as you can see, I'm making a case that overseas manufacturing is changing the game here. For years, overseas meant either inferior materials or inferior execution of equal materials. And well, both of these knives that I've shown you that are new releases, the Pilar in D2 or the Civivi Wyvern, these knives are not exact competition with the Benchmade, but it is quite serious and interesting to think that you could get both of these knives for the price of this knife. And for years, it would have meant two inferior knives in terms of design or in execution. And in particular with the Civivi, I'm really having a hard time seeing how it isn't finished better actually than the Benchmade, and that the action is not equal if not better, and that certain aspects of the design such as the pocket clip are just simply better. I think this is a major wake-up call for American companies that especially with their budget-oriented offerings, that they're going to have to really get competitive in designs and think about how they can also bring materials to market affordably. Now I'm going to show you another knife that out of these three knives, they're all great, and I think that you could all be very happy with any of them. I'm going to show you one knife that I think is quickly going to become an inferior knife in this sub $50 market. This is the Spyderco Efficient, looking pretty similar in some respects with its G10 scales and blacked out hardware, but there's a real difference, and that is in the choice of materials. This is an overseas made knife made in China, but it has HCR13 MOV steel. For a knife that you can purchase for anywhere between $45 and $50, to me this knife is clearly inferior to the other choices that I've offered, simply on the basis of blade steel. It has good ergonomics, it's a nice classic Spyderco, fit and finish is fine, there's no problems with fit and finish, but it's very hard for me to see why you would choose this design when for the same price you can buy a knife that is going to have equal cutting performance and better materials. So that's where I think the game is really going to change, is that these entry-level knives with entry-level steel that are creeping up towards the $50 price point, it no longer makes sense to me to buy knives like this unless you have a very specific reason, because you could buy this knife or you could buy this knife. Which one looks nicer to you? So anyway, guys, that's my hot take about how the entry-level knife game is changing. It might be subtle that some of these otherwise once considered higher level steels like D2 are trickling down into the sub $50 market, or that materials like G10 are becoming more prominent, or that prominent designers like Jesper Voxnäs are bringing their designs to an affordable market. But I don't think it's insignificant. I think that it changes the standards that we should have for sub $50 knives, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us as collectors to continue watching this affordable market and see how it will continue to benefit us, because we're getting knives with what were once considered premium or exotic even opening mechanisms, let alone higher quality steels. It's just up to us to continue to value those differences in our purchases, and to insist that knives that perhaps are now looking very overpriced come down in price or improve in materials. Let me know what you think about my hot take on how the $50 knife game is changing. I want to let you know that I am starting a new partnership with Blade HQ, and I have affiliate links for these knives listed down below, and I want to invite you to check out Blade HQ, which is of course I think the biggest online retailer and an excellent online knife retailer to deal with if you haven't already, to look for these knives. Of course, this one's only available at Cabela's in this specific configuration. This one is currently sold out, but there is a version with a carbon fiber scale, and I think both of these are readily available. I'd love to hear from you if you think that things are looking more promising for the affordable knife game. I certainly think they are, and I just wanted to share my thoughts with you about that today. Thanks so much for watching. Hey guys, Andrew here, just doing final edits on this review, and I just wanted to mention, you know, I'm really trying to be transparent about where I'm getting all these knives in for review. Benchmade I received as a gift. The Spyderco I purchased myself for review. The Civivi, I'm actually part of a knife pass-around group, and that knife is a knife that I received just to check out, so I don't own it. And the CRKT I did receive from Blade HQ for review, and so that full review is forthcoming. So anyway, I just want to start making sure that I'm adding that explicitly in here so that you know where I'm getting these from, but I think that you can see that I was unbiased and that I was trying to consider the merits of these knives as a standalone. So do please leave me a thumbs up for that, and if you're new to the channel here, I'd love it if you subscribe. Thanks a lot.